Hi, family of God. Today we are failing marriages, we are failing covenants because we are not bold enough to speak the word of God according to the way it was supposed to be spoken. In Romans 8 it says, "For I know that all things work together for the good of those who love God." The question is, do you love God? I'm not talking here about the emotional love, because biblical love doesn't refer to emotional love. It talks about the love of God. Loving is an action word, so you don't say to somebody you love him. It's by what you do that they can confirm that you love them. There is the question, because when it comes to covenantal order, God didn't mince his words. It says clearly that the husband is the head of a home. And this is something that marriage counselor, pastor need to be able to say with no ambiguity, not trying to have an equilibrium debate over the husband and the wife. He must first say that God has given headship of a family to a husband. Secondly, God has subjected a wife to submit to a husband, but not with a full authority, because the husband himself is submitted to God. So the reason why you submit to your husband is because the husband is submitted to God. So as long as your husband is submitted to God, you got no legitimate reason to disrespect your husband in a covenant. And then the next thing that comes, and that's the topic of the day, is the aspect of love. Biblically, God says, husband, love your wife. And there is the elements that the culture is emotionalized. They translate it into the flowers, into the Instagram live, in the nice pictures, in a trip. The Bible doesn't talk about it. Let me shock you for a minute. The only reason why Adam ate the fruit in the garden is because he loved his wife. But when you read the Bible, you understood immediately that Adam disobeyed God. So it may happen that in the process of loving your wife, you start disrespecting God. Because what you are loving is the feeling, not the action of obedience. Because a husband that loves God and loves his wife will do everything that is in the benefit of his family so that God can cover them. For example, any husband in his household that is pushing his family to have a spiritual life, a regular life, to go to church, and all the spiritual habit, loves his family, because he is trying to explain to the family that nothing outside of the law of God can guarantee our success and our failures. Then those verses can find context in your covenant. I must tell the pagan and people that undermine the law of God that faced one's court process or major issues in life, even disciplinary. In those places, what is common, people, especially women, can get very emotional. They can cry, they can act, they can do everything they want in front of the judge. But what happened at the end, the judge throws the law back at them. It will tell, unfortunately, this is what the law says. Unfortunately, because we don't fear God enough, we can abide to human law, but we want to disrespect God's law. Therefore, if you are wise in your life, if there is a law that you should never want to violate, because the consequences can be dire, is the law of God. Because the law of God is superior to the law of men. Therefore, when you are going through trial in your life, the one place that will take you out of trouble is the law in which we are leaning on to. And that is the law of God. Therefore, to come back to the topic of love, love is not an emotion in the Bible. Love is the ability of a covenantal family to always do what is pleasing to God, so that when they are in trouble, God can take their side. Remember, in the Bible, it happens sometimes in the time of Elijah when God says the rain will come back. That people started doing the witchcraft as usual, meaning that they start cutting themselves, bleeding, and taking the idols, and it never worked. It never worked because they were covered by the law of God. Therefore, if today you are going through a difficult season in your life, husband, wife, pray, fast, go to the house of God, kneel down in front of God, and hope that God is going to come for you. And this is exactly what the gospel has been preaching. Don't mind what you see on the internet. The internet has never fixed anybody's life. The word of God does. Therefore, when we decided to preach the gospel, we preach it on the perspective that we've seen it working in the Bible, in our life, and it is the law of God that is very consistent. So you can't flee from that. Therefore, Even the stability of your covenant depends on how faithful you are towards God. So the question comes back again to bite you. Do you love God? If you don't love, all things will not work together for your purpose. Because God only blesses those who obey his command. May the Lord bless you abundantly.